Hi there, my name is Sam from Versus.com and welcome to the new comparison video between the OnePlus 8 Pro and the Sony's Xperia 1 Mark II. We think that both phones have their pros and cons, but which one's actually the better phone? That's what we're gonna find out in this video. Let's start straight away with our review, let the facts speak. Display. The 8 Pro has a 6.78-inch display with a 1440p resolution. It uses a very bright OLED screen which creates very accurate colors. The 6.78-inch display therefore measures 17.2 cm diagonally with a pixel density of 513 ppi. Whether a picture looks fluid or not depends on the refresh rate. And a feature that every flagship got to have in 2020 is a high refresh rate. The OnePlus 8 Pro has a high 120 Hz. The Xperia 1 Mark II has a 6.5-inch cinema wide display, which means it has a 21:9 aspect ratio with a 1644p resolution. It uses a 4K OLED screen which creates crispy sharp images. The 6.5-inch display therefore measures 16.5 cm diagonally with a pixel density of an incredible 643 ppi. The screen only has a 60 Hz refresh rate, but it uses motion blur which creates the look and feel of a 90 Hz display. In this case, we decided to give the point for the display to the OnePlus 8 Pro. And here's why. We know the Xperia has a higher resolution than the 8 Pro, but we think the combination of the still very high resolution and the 120 Hz refresh rate makes it an overall better screen. Still, we think the edges of the screen are outdated and tend to get accidental touches. But yeah, the 8 Pro takes the lead in this one. Performance. The Sony Xperia 1 Mark II has 256GB internal storage capacity. It is equipped with a super fast Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 chip with 1x 2.84 GHz, 3x 2.42 GHz and 4x 1.8 GHz and has 8GB RAM. Storage capacity can be expanded by up to 1 TB. This version of the OnePlus 8 Pro has 256GB internal storage capacity. It is equipped with a super fast Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 chip with 1x 2.84 GHz and 3x 2.42 GHz and 4x 1.8 GHz and has 12GB RAM. There's also an 8GB RAM model with an internal storage capacity of 128GB available. The storage capacity unfortunately cannot be expanded. Snapdragon 865 against Snapdragon 865, but the Xperia has less GB RAM. Can it still beat the OnePlus 8 Pro in terms of performance? That is what we are going to find out in the Antutu benchmark test. The tests are divided into 3 phases. A performance test of the RAM, a test of how the device is handling 2-dimensional graphics, and an endurance test of how the device is handling 3D graphics. Both phones scored really high numbers in the Antutu benchmark test, but the OnePlus 8 Pro was even higher, so it wins the category and therefore the point goes to the OnePlus 8 Pro. Camera. The Sony Xperia 1 Mark II had 3 main cameras, a 60mm ultra-wide, a 24mm wide angle and a 70mm telephoto camera. Each camera has a resolution of 12 megapixels. The front camera's resolution is 8 megapixels. The Sony Xperia 1 Mark II records 4K videos at a maximum of 60 frames per second. And of course it has image stabilization for video too. The 8 Pro has 4 main cameras, the primary and ultra-wide camera with 48 megapixel, a telephoto camera with 8 megapixel and a color filter lens camera with 5 megapixel. You can find the front camera in the upper left corner of the screen in the so-called hole punch notch. Its resolution is 16 megapixel. The OnePlus 8 Pro records 4K videos at a maximum of 60 frames per second. It also has image stabilization for video. Both phones have good camera systems, but which one is actually the better system? Let's take it to our daytime camera test and let's find out which one does a better job. Both phones took equally sharp pictures and the color rendering was also good on both. Sony's pictures looked, as for Sony cameras typically, sometimes a little too sharp. We consider OnePlus camera a little better than the Xperia's. The Xperia 1 Mark II had a 3-fold optical and a 3-fold digital zoom feature. The 8 Pro also had a 3-fold optical, but a 30-fold digital zoom feature. Sony's camera, thanks to a resolution of 4K, produces top-notch videos. With 120 frames per second in 2K mode, you can do slow motion videos, but once again not as slow as its rival. The 8 Pro, thanks to a resolution of 4K, also produces first-class videos. With 480 frames per second in 720p mode and 240 frames per second in Full HD mode, 8 Pro's slow motion feature are somewhat like a standard in the slow motion category. Comparing both camera systems, we haven't noticed a significant difference. So it came down to the software that you use a camera system in. And as we already mentioned in previous videos, Sony pre-installed pro apps that are perfect if you want to get more control over the camera system. But Sony also has a regular photo app installed, so snapshots are also no problem. Therefore, we decided to give the point to Sony's Xperia 1 Mark II. Let us know in the comments below which camera system you prefer. Design. The Sony Xperia 1 Mark II has a clean design with a glossy finish. The triple camera system is well positioned on the upper left corner on the back of the phone. We noticed that lots of flagship phones have really big camera bumps that stick weirdly out of the back of the device. Sony did a good job by reducing theirs to an acceptable amount on this phone. The smartphone weighs 181 grams, it's roughly 16.6 cm long, 7.2 cm wide and 0.7 cm deep. It is water and dust resistant thanks to an IP68 rating. The Xperia 1 Mark II has, like every modern smartphone, an USB-C connector. You can unlock the phone via fingerprint scanner, which is built into the power button on the right side of the phone. One thing that you cannot find in most of the new flagship phones is an audio jack. The Xperia 1 Mark II still has one, which we consider as a bonus point. The OnePlus 8 Pro has a clean design with a matte finish. The quad camera system is well positioned on the upper center on the back of the phone. The camera bump is pretty big and sticks out a lot. That is something we don't really like. The smartphone weighs 199 grams, it's roughly 16.53 cm long, 7.44 cm wide and 0.85 cm deep. It has a USB-C connector and thanks to an IP68 rating, it is finally water and dust resistant, which previous models weren't. The 8 Pro uses face recognition technology and a fingerprint scanner which is built onto the screen to unlock the phone. The face recognition technology works perfect at daylight and also good in a weak light environment. As we already mentioned a couple times before, we are no fans of big camera bumps that weirdly stick out of the back of the phone nowadays. So we like Sony's approach more over that of the OnePlus. Overall, we think that the OnePlus still uses design features that are somehow outdated. We think that Sony did a better job on their end. So we give this point to the Xperia. But what do you think? Do you prefer 8 Pro's design or that of the Xperia? Let us know what you think in the comments below. We love to hear your opinion. Battery. The Sony when fully charged had 4000 mAh. On the other hand, the 8 Pro when fully charged had 4510 mAh. So OnePlus's battery is bigger. Let's see if that helps 8 Pro defeat the Xperia in our day-to-day usage test. The bigger battery lets OnePlus win in this category, even though it has a 120Hz refresh rate, which is a battery killer. How long a battery lasts always depends on the way you use your phone and the settings you use it in. Both phones get easy through a whole day of normal usage. Conclusion. It is time to collect the points and see who got more points in this comparison. Let's rewind and take it from the top. The combination of high resolution and high refresh rate lets the OnePlus 8 Pro's display score the first point. Both phones use the same processor, but the 8 Pro that we use in this comparison had more GB RAM. Therefore it wins and takes home the point for the performance category. Sony's camera system is overall the better one, so the Xperia 1 Mark II scores its first point. The design question was, in our opinion, easy question to answer. An easy win for the Xperia. So far so good. It got leveled out in the end. So the last point is a deciding one. And yes, OnePlus bigger battery scores the final point and makes it the winner in this comparison. It was a tough race between two almost equal phones. Naturally, we review more than these 5 categories. If you want to see the full comparison, follow the link here to our website. You can compare up to 7 different smartphones at versus.com. But before you do that, please post your comments and let us know which phone you think ranks first. If you liked our video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Take care and see you soon.